And this is a great time for me for recording the presentation for upgrading for a portfolio from MPhil to PhD. So myself is Ketheeswaren. So I have worked with the title an investigation into original resource description and potential of developing a common resource description format for Tamil collections. An initiative of cooperative cataloging for public libraries in Jaffna district. The presentation is basically outlined into certain blocks: introduction, problem, aim and objective, research questions, methodology, error analysis and findings, transcription of data, models for metadata service, evaluation of the model and findings, conclusion, future application at national level. People are nowadays using OPEC or the search engine to discover their needed or interested information resource from the library. So here one reader is searching for animal physiology phrase from title field. By making this search, he is successful in finding the information relevant to the material he is interested to find from the library. So this is a success. Beyond this success, the library should work in accordance. So here, these are the metadata fed into the library system. These are the mark tag numbers. These are the subfields A, B, A. Those are subfields. So systematically, those details are fed into the library system to help this type of discovery. Here at 245A, the title is fed Introduction to Animal Physiology. So people are using keyboards and feeding the data. Just typing. At the same time, they have certain bibliographic control to maintain the uniformity to avoid unnecessary confusion in finding and discovery of information resource. So just feeding the data by typing. So they can't freely type, they have bibliographic control. It is in manual practice. There is no automated control for feeding this data. The library catalogers, they can freely feed the data with the mistakes, the human-made mistakes. Here we need to control, or we need to have an automated system to control this. It is possible by using cooperative cataloging method. So if we need to have a cooperative cataloging method, we need to run the program for cooperative cataloging. By having this a systematic program for cooperative cataloging, we will be facilitated to have this controlling system. It is really automated one. So what are those controls. The correct rules and standards will be applied to the metadata. The correct delimiters will be used, and order of description will be correctly maintained. And then secondly, the transcription will be described meaningfully, and correct keyboard layout will be used. There won't be any confusion in keyboard layout or the key structure, and the data will be without mistakes, so there won't be any spelling or transliteration mistakes. So those will be possible by using cooperative cataloging. So there are many cooperative cataloging, that is program for cooperative cataloging, are conducted at international level. Here, bibliographic control and authority control for headings are two different areas supported by this program for cooperative cataloging. Here, the BibCo, monographic bibliographic record cooperative program, is conducted in support of bibliographic control. And further, we can identify certain other cooperative program for authority data. Here, I have mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different authority data set. However, there are, I think, more than 8 data sets we can find for authority data. Here we can categorize the authority data mainly into two different types: name of creator and subject of the resource. And the name of creator, personal name, corporate name, meeting name, uniform title. So those can be understood. So for developing this list of headings for name of creator, the NACO, Name Authority Cooperative Program, is continued. Similarly, for subject of the resource, the SAC, for Subject Authority Cooperative Program, is conducted. Yeah. So I am talking about program for cooperative cataloging. Here we need to have 3 different ideas or facility to have a successful practice of cooperative cataloging. So we need to have the description method, and we should have the appropriate framework and authority values, and cooperative metadata service to think about the practice of cooperative cataloging. It is in international level. There are rules, framework, and metadata service. So accordingly, we need to think about these facility or this fundamental at national level or regional level. So we need to prepare those rules and standards like RDA, TDC, LCSH. So all should be systematically rescheduled or updated according to the regional or national scenario. So we may think about a Sinhala or Tamil script, Tamil records. For this, we need to have a separate amendments on these rules and standards. In addition to this, we need to have a separate framework, an appropriate framework for national level or regional level use. In addition to this, the authority values also should be devised. So we can call or name this framework as LK mark. In addition to this, we need to have a cooperative metadata service in national level that may be named as LK. So this is regarding cooperative cataloging. So I am talking about cooperative cataloging. What is the problem I have? Here I have read this book some months ago. So I am searching from a library for this book. I know the title is Animal Physiology. Yes, that is the title. Written by Eckert. Yes, that's correctly marked. And it is published in 1987. I know. And I have made a search. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any result. But I know this book is available in the library. So what's the problem? Here, I have searched for the phrase animal physiology, but in the title only physiology is mentioned. So this is the mark information for this display. Here, all tag numbers and subfields and the data are displayed. So how it should be correctly appeared as seen in the box. So I have captured this mark data from a metadata service platform that was systematically developed by a program for cooperative cataloging. Here at 245A, the animal physiology, the title proper, is correctly fed. And in addition to this, the correct punctuation, leaving space and colon is also mentioned there. Here there is no space after title proper. So there are issues in the description. So that is for the English material. So I would like to tell about what is happening for Tamil material. I take this example. I know this book is available in my library. That is in my village library. Yes, it is available. So these are the details. The name of this. It is the name of the book is Inival Advalium Special Souvenir, and it is edited by Arulanandam Srikanta Lakshmi, published by Inival Thiruvur Ondriyam, and the copyright is with Inival Thiruvur Ondriyam. The copyright is not retained with the editor Arulanandam Srikanta Lakshmi. So those details are mentioned in Tamil as well. So those description should be correctly reflected as seen in the box. It is correctly prepared for this demonstration. Here I'll just tell about the things. It is title proper and space colon, and then this is the other title information, and then space / space, and this is the statement of responsibility. This is a contributor. He is not an author. If he is an author, it will be by. Then those details will be fed into at 100. Here the contributor data is fed at 700. So those details, publisher details correctly mentioned with the correct punctuations. All these details should be described like this. So I have searched this detail from library 1. So I have made a search for other title information from title. I couldn't find any results. What happened? Here, as I have told, the description should be like this. Here there are so many mistakes. Here the spelling mistake, and the library is supposed the author as a responsible for this material, and placed here the author name here, but it is wrong. The author name can't be here. It's the publisher is the responsible. Statement of responsibility should be given for the publisher. However, the places of the author name part are incorrectly represented here. In addition to this, the punctuations are missing and preliminary pages are missing. So this is for with the library 1. So library 2, some other mistakes. So there is no space, and here by it is fed at 100. So the library treated Srikantha Lakshmi Arlanandam as an author. It's wrong. So like this, library 2 some library 3 some other problem, library 4 some other problem. So we understand we should have a cooperative cataloging. So we should have a program for cooperative catalog. It is understood. Yes. So what is our deficiency? So we should have a cooperative cataloging, but there are deficiencies. We don't have literature. We don't have the basic understanding of fundamental knowledge for running a program for cooperative cataloging. We don't know the existing issue in the manual catalog, and we don't know how to overcome these errors and how to transcribe the Tamil records into machine readable format. And suppose we have built a system after following these 3 steps, and we need to know how the system will be accepted for cooperative cataloging. So we don't know the knowledge. So what are the issues on accessing this platform? We don't know. And in which way a proper service system can be developed for a cooperative cataloging. We don't have any idea for this. For this endeavor in the national or regional level. So I have come with an aim. So I should investigate the original cataloging data set to successfully transcribe them into a common description format to be used by the public libraries in the Jaffna district as a source of standard metadata for copy cataloging. And the study should build a prototype model of metadata service consisting of these transcribed data sets and evaluates its appropriateness to accept as a service model. This is the overall aim. And accordingly, the objective is devised. So we can categorize into two different sectors. We can see building the system, evaluating the system. So building the system, at the first level, we need to go for a preliminary study. That is, we need to check the availability of cataloging record in the existing metadata service system. For it is for probably English record. And we need to investigate the error factors and their distribution. It may be through a method by comparing with a record copied from a reputed metadata service platform. We need to compare and find the error factors. This is the only one possibility we have to go to identify the error factors. And we need to modify the record against quality issue and create a prototype model after necessary transcription of the data into machine readable format. And later, after building the system, we need to evaluate where we need to assess the perception of library professionals in accepting this model and in service. And further, we need to find the requirements for developing this model as a mutually acceptable metadata service platform. Those are objectives. These are the research questions. We need in the building the system and evaluating system, we can identify different research questions. What are the coverage of cataloging records? The first question is a preliminary study. What is the coverage of the cataloging record in existing metadata service systems? And what are the outcomes of comparing original cataloging records with the records copied from a metadata service platform? Then, what are the quality issues are existing in the original catalogs? And how and where these quality issues are generally distributed? What are the source of deviation for these existings? What are the strategies we need to apply to systematically modify the existing original catalog into qualified records? And how should these strategies be appropriately applied to the original cataloging records in Tamil? Those are for English. And at the juncture at 7, we need to think how these strategies should be applied in Tamil records. And further, what are the correct mark tags and subfields should be selected to transcribe these qualified records. So in addition, under the evaluating the system, we have two questions. To what extent the proposed model and service are accepted by the stakeholder? And how can a service platform be developed from this prototype model to be proposed by the study? Those are the research questions. I would like to tell about the methodology here. The study plan and distribution data. We can identify from this flow chart the study plan and distribution of data. The original resource description were collected. We know usually in the library records there are duplicates. After removing the duplicates, we had nearly 150,000 records for the study. Among them, nearly 50,000 records were identified with ISBN, because we need to separate the records with the ISBN, because we need to perform the visibility study by giving the input of ISBN to the metadata service platform as a bulk. We can't simply one by one input these 50,000. It will take a longer time. So as a bulk, I think a bundle of 1,000 info, 1,000 ISBN. So by providing the inputs bulk, we got respective record or the visibility outputs from the metadata service platform existing in other country. According to visibility study, two different work was supported. So certain records we identified they had a poor visibility. Nearly they don't have any visibility in the international metadata service platform. Those as Sinhala or Tamil records. So here among these 150,000, nearly 36,000 records were identified as a poor visibility record. That is in Tamil. So certain records with certain publication detail like place of publisher, certain places and certain publisher, we had a maximum visibility. So we quickly selected the books or records for the comparative error study. So nearly 35,000 records were selected for visibility, for the error study with maximum visibility. So here we need to have the comparison. So we need to copy the respective records. So respective records copied for these 35. So we got 14,435 records. Then by comparison, we perform the error study. So report is generated from the study. Using this study outcomes, the Tamil records were corrected and transcribed into Mason readable form. And later, those records were transferred into the metadata service platform or prototype. This is a prototype model. And this model were then evaluated by the stakeholders. That is a library professional. Nearly 131. We found 131 population, and among the population, we received the responses from 115 respondents, and we finished the evaluation study. So these are the study plans and execution record. Here I'll tell about the comparison. We need to compare two different records. In second hand, we have the cataloging records from the source. We have physiology, mechanism, and adaptation. This is the title proper and other title information. In the head one, in the first hand, we have a respective record from Library Congress that is developed by a proper program of operating cataloging for metadata service. We copy. So by comparing both records, we came with finding many ideas. Which ideas? Regarding quality issues and error factors. So here we have the record in Mason readable format. There are divisions of description by subfields and tag number, indicator, all those details were systematically appearing. So by comparing, we could come with many findings. So we have different sets of data. So those data were managed using a MySQL database. So because this was a huge collection of data, so by running appropriate query in the MySQL database, we got the unmatched record. So this is the simple query. It's a general format of the query. So we select a certain record from the database, from a table, and we join the table. Two different two tables were used, and join the table at certain condition, and we got the unmatched record for a condition for unmatching. So here, in addition to this, not addition to this, the building system, there were 6 steps or 6 works were identified, all 6 works, 12 different data, 12 different bibliographic data were selected. It is selected according to the suggestion made by the literature. That literature says that these records are frequently used by the libraries for describing the library material. So I'll tell about the methodology used for evaluating the system. So structured questionnaire was prepared, and there were 4 sections with all 68 questions, and then the data were collected by conducting 6 training workshops. So out of total population 131, we got 115 responses, and Excel sheet was used to organize the data, and those data were exported to SPSS software. Then necessary analysis were performed using the SPSS software. The analysis was really done by grouping the informats into 2 different sets, but 2 different categories. So here the PL and LA. PL is public library, LA library academics. So 5 different features were considered for classify the group. So library, experience, computer literacy, designation. So all the details are mentioned here. Here I'll tell about the error analysis and findings. So format editing and input editing, content editing were identified, and the format editing, missing equal sign, it is a forward between the title proper and other title information, and missing piece, it is for the description of extended 300, and missing adding EDs, and those format editing were identified. In addition to this, under input editing, missing a part of statement, inclusion of an extra part with the statement, inclusion of a complete extra statement, those are identified as an input editing. In addition to the content editing, is that content is missing or inappropriately available in the record. So this is a missing a complete statement of misplace of author name. Misplace of author name. We know the method of describing the personal name, the headings, particularly in the headings, how we need to describe the personal name. So we know. So those misplaced. So here 3 different normalization were used. See the broken rule and this is inaccuracy values and incomplete values. Here all where the values were 1 and zeros. So if the rule is broken, then this suppose the ith row we find the rule is broken, then we will give a 1. Similarly, it is an inaccuracy. That is, if the data is inaccurate as compared to the data copied from the Library of Congress, then the value 1 will be given. Other way, it will be 0. In incomplete, suppose the ith row had a null or incomplete value, then the 1 will be given. If it is correctly reflecting, then the 0 will be given. So the error, and I like to tell about the error analysis and finding at 100A as an example. 100A is meant for main entry personal name. 700 is meant for added entry personal name. Here, this is I'll take an example for editor statement. The editor is here in the contributor. Here in the source record, the editor is mentioned by highlighting ed dot at the end. But in the source record, those details were kept as a main entry. That is meant at 100. However, in the metadata service platform, it is meant at 700, not at 100, because it is a contributor. It is not an author. So, by comparing these facts, we could come with several findings. So, what we wanted to do here, for the Mark 21, in the Mark 21, we find certain authorized value for describing these contributor details like editor, translator, compiler, or this. So this is the authorized value edd for editor, and here in the ACR2, the function ed dot is used for putting the data for editor. So we can identify in the website all the punctuation, or it is we may tell as an abbreviation. In ASCR2 it is mentioned as punctuation. So we can find an appropriate machine readable authority values for this contributor. It is normally called in Mark 21 system as a relator. Okay. So having this idea, so we need to remove these EDs and we need to systematically put the data into some other field 100E. I'll discuss it later. So here we need to go for certain manipulation and find the actual unmatched records. So with having this ed dot at the end, we will not find an appropriate matching. So we need to do some sort of manipulation and find the acceptable unmatched percentage. So those details are described here. Among EDs and all, we came with the unmatched percentage. So according to the finding, two different table and chart tables were used. Here, in addition to the table, a chart is used. So where we can find the editing values in the chart. So all these input editing, format editing, and content editing. So I'll go to this chart where we find certain hikes and downs in the chart. Here we have dots as getting higher value, and here we need to needed to assign dots at the end because we have a certain reason. And in addition to this, under input editing, we can identify different editing here, the format editing, content editing, different region. So under the input editing, these are getting the higher value. That is EICE, error inclusion of complete extra statement. It is for last name and first name. So last name and first name was separately dealt in this study. Here, so why we are getting this higher value? Because here that is inclusion of complete extra statement. We had all the data in the main entry column. It may be whatever the contributor details or real or the detail. So we had all in as a main entry. However, systematically, while we are systematically preparing the metadata, those contributor details should be fed at 700. So at 100 there won't be any data for the in the field of describing the contributors. So here in the LC we don't have any data. However, in the source record we have data. This is the reason for getting this peak value. So I'm moving to the presentation again. So I'll go to some other table where we organize the table to find the editing method and condition, and we place there the value is in descending order, which value the editing percentage, strength of editing. The value of strength of editing is kept in descending order. Here we need to assign the dots with a certain detail for certain reason. We need to add dots. So how we can add those dot? All this information is mentioned. So here we can identify the table in three different columns, the major columns: errors, strategies, and applicability to the Tamil records. So here under errors we have certain other sub columns: category code and description of category code and source of deviation. Under the strategies, and what is the editing we have to do, and in which method, by using which method we can do it, and under which condition we need to perform this editing. So all for each and every error factors, those details were analyzed and identified. Here, in addition to this, I like to tell one interesting categorization here. We can identify different colors. So what I did is, so I had made this error factors into three different zones. If the strength of editing factor is getting more than 20%, then those region, so this zone is marked as dark red. If the value is getting below 20 and getting more than 10, then it will be a red zone, and below 10 and above 1 orange, and below 1 green. So I like to tell one example. I like to tell one row, discuss one row, the fourth one, a inclusion of complete extra statement. It is getting 2.36. So it is, as I discussed, or as I told in the earlier slide, here the, according to the local authority, the old main entry statement, not all main entry, the personal name statement were included in as a main entry. It is meant as for describing at 100A. However, it should be described at 700A. So this is the source of deviation, and how we can overcome this issue. We need to do certain work here. We need to remove those related punctuation from 100A and assign the respective related term at 100E. So this is the prime work we need to perform. So will it be applicable, directly applicable to Tamil record? No. So it is applicable. We need to be careful in handling Tamil record in such a way that in place of ED, we need to find some other coding pa a. So accordingly, we need to find the code and remove. At the same time of removing, we need to immediately assign an appropriate authorized value for Tamil description. I'll tell about in another slide. So I'll close this table and moving to the other slide. Here all the description, all the work that is meant by the table discussed last time mentioned. Here 4 different zone, error factors, and the error categories under green are considered negligible for the transcription for process of quality enhancement of the records. So we need to clearly get the idea of these 12 steps for understanding the error analysis and findings. So here I like to tell yeah, here for English contributor name, we have certain code EDT for editor, where we find it for other value for Mark 21. What I did, I just put a -T for mentioning the editor name in Tamil. Here the editor, it is in Tamil. So in the database with the authorized value etd-t, this name is mapped. Then by searching this, the people can select the value at 100E. So likewise, other names are also provided the authority values. So this is a transcription of data. So we know how to transcribe the data according to their analysis, and accordingly necessary transcription were made to generate or to create error-free qualified records. in Tamil. Yeah, then finally, so here this is the one related term assigned by registering values EDT. T for if I find this name somewhere in the source record, we need to assign EDT in the column of 100E and remove this value. So likewise, all transcription were made, and finally, after modifying the records for complying the rules and standard, all those data were transferred to the column 100A and 100E for meaningfully reflecting the structure of machine readable form. So these are the details, how edited and how many numbers in with what percentage. So this is the model example. So we have translated the data and build the system, and yeah, talking about application. So we need to select a framework. We will be provided this window, so we can simply search by providing title or by selecting appropriate target. That's why we need to select the Tamil target. So we can do. Usually what we do is we usually search from control number. Then we may be given this the mark details, and after checking this mark details, we can just import in the library system. Then we will be happy for having a qualified record. So then we need to provide this system to check, to evaluate. So after evaluating, certain findings were made, so accepted, and in which way the model was accepted, and how the service from the model were accepted. So 9-point Likert scale contributed by different group on 12 features were measured for find this acceptance of the service, and the interesting identification were made. So mutually accepted abbreviation were identified, and what are the field should be selected for cataloging by public libraries, and from this identification an appropriate mark framework was proposed to be used by the public libraries. So conclusion, I tell about only the conclusion, building the system. Here the punctuation were missing in the source record, then here the found issues and solution made. So punctuation missing, source records were modified with having a correct punctuation for machine readable system. And abbreviation was not uniquely and correctly described in the source record. The mostly used abbreviation were identified and described uniquely and correctly. Source records were identified as prepared without any authority control. Here, a collection of authority data with correct punctuation were prepared and indexed in the model for authority control practice by the public libraries. So it's different findings were made. Future application, for future, what we can do in future application at national level. For we need to go with a full level cataloging with the control number. Then we need to provide this control number at the back of the title page with with or without CAP data just before the publications. So while we are giving ISBN, we can provide this control number. So usually Library of Congress is providing control number. They are marking. We can identify this LCCN in many books published in Western countries. Then we need to build a system no, the library system should be restricted under authority control, and using the control number distributed by an approved agency, the libraries will be importing the metadata into the library system, that is copy cataloging with a control. They can't freely feed the data. They will be restricted to copy the cataloging data from the system. So what is the benefit? The exact discovery will be possible among the libraries. There won't be any confusion by switching one library to another library. So exact discovery will be possible. And no burden or repetition of data entry. So suppose a book is published in 1,000 copies in national wide, and it is distributed for 1,000 libraries. So in the if the libraries are not using the cooperative cataloging practice, they will prepare 100 cataloging records in 100 different style and 100 different quality, with 100 different quality issues. Here, no burden on repetition of data entry. Expertise in preparing metadata will not be required at an institutional level. So the expertise is only required at the top level, and full level cataloging will be maintained for all libraries, regardless of the size and facility of the libraries. Full level cataloging will be maintained, and less time for processing. So immediately getting the material to the library, we can sell it in the same day. Successful bibliography communication will be possible for cooperative and union gateways for knowledge discovery. So what is the, so we, though this plan is for the publication to be made in future. So what will happen to the backlog? So we need to follow a certain method. So we need to identify the libraries having huge national or regional collection, and investigate the error factors existing in the cataloging record of the collection. Then modify and transcribe the record in the message readable form. Here, where the finding of the study may be found useful. And finally, we need to stage the records into centralized metadata system. So these four steps are relevant to the study. And finally, we need to alarm the library regarding the updates, and they will update the record by replacing the older record with newer record that is generated from the metadata service. So here I like to tell about the work plan. So I have been strictly following this Gantt chart and moving with the studies. Now the 7th May, at this point here where I need to finish the thesis writing and submission. So I have made a few publications, 4 publications we have made. We are working for some other 2 publications. So we can make several publications out of this study. So this is the final stage of my work. Please kindly consider this. Thank you so much.